Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to our channel, Bhagavad-gita, here it is, because we have it, Bhagavad-gita as it is, and for which we are very happy and thankful. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Lavanga Latika. So, we are in the 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge, and the previous verse, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. And we talked about that a bit, that it's not that just Krishna is calling people fools, but if somebody is very much set against accepting reality and in that way losing out on some spiritual opportunities, it is rather foolish. We will continue on text 12. Moghasha mogha karmano mogha jnana vichetasaha rakshashim asurim chaiva prakriting mohinim shritaha. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hope for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Mogha, we heard that word baffled was repeated several times. And when we use the word demonic, we're not thinking about a scary movie with somebody with big fangs and green skin or something. It's about an attitude. Rakshashim, Asurim. Actually, Rakshashim, maybe we are thinking about that type of demoniac thing. But mostly it's an attitude. It's an attitude that goes against the divine nature, of which we are welcome to be part, because that is our actual spiritual nature. So, mostly everybody in this world are not demoniac as such. Atheistic is another word. Nowadays the culture is very atheistic. It's like has become like the normal thing to disregard the whole idea of God and spiritual life. And that may be seen as a reaction to the way in which religion lost its purity, became a force of power rather than a benevolent, generous, guiding light in the life of people. And therefore, a lot of people are atheists out of habit or out of culture, or because that is how reality has been presented to them. But some people are very determined. And seeing as we're in this world, parts and parcels of Krishna, who is God, everything we have is given to us by God. It's a little bit rude, but that is our choice. We can do that if we like. But then we should also understand that self-realization and spiritual development won't really happen if we are very, if we dig ourselves into that sort of attitude. So I'm going to read this purport, and as I've said before, I have a little bit of a hard time when it comes to those harsh, strong parts of the Bhagavad-gita, because I'm not sure how to present it in the best way. Because when Krishna speaks, he speaks the whole Bhagavad-gita, and all the aspects of reality are in it, and also all the knowledge we need in order to make progress in spiritual life are in it as well. And some of the sides of reality may not be entirely pleasing. But at the same time, if we try to avoid them, then we miss out on the full picture. I'm reading the purport now. There are many devotees who assume themselves to be in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, but at heart do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the absolute truth. And that's just one sentence, but it's actually very deep. We take to something, we take to some religion, we take to some culture, we pick up some rituals, or we pick up some attraction to certain parts of the philosophy. But we don't see Krishna in front of our eyes. And I shouldn't say we, because I'm sure many persons do see Krishna in front of their eyes all the time. That is a pure devotee. That is a self-realized soul. But many of us in the material world, we are not really there yet. And therefore, it's easy to sometimes think of Krishna and to a lot of the time forget him. And even when we hear him speak his words in the Bhagavad-gita, we hear the stories. And by story, I don't mean something that somebody made up, but I mean the retelling of the activities of Krishna and the activities of devotional service. If we're not there, they can become a little bit ritualistic, a little, a little dry, and our attention can be drawn in other places. And that is kind of natural in the beginning stages, but as with any religion, I was once given a survey, how do you practice your religion? And then there were some questions. Do you participate in what you call it, celebrating certain occasions? Like we have, of course, we have Christmas, those sort of things. And within our line, we also have many of these festival days. And then why do you do it? And then there were some choices that said, well, it's social. And all my friends are there. And I'm like, no, that's not why I do it. But if you're born into a certain culture, and religion is part of the culture, but sometimes the spiritual part of religion isn't taken so seriously, that's what happens. So those of us who are convertites, who've stepped into this out of conviction, may not just do it that way, but it can easily happen when you take up a lifestyle and it becomes your habits and you do the things that everybody else do. It can happen. So as long as we are sincere and serious about our progress in spiritual life, we will always have opportunity to continue. But if we're not, if we're just taking it, oh, this is the culture. I understand that in America, if you want to be president and you're not a member of a church, then somehow automatically nobody will accept you or respect you. Maybe that has changed. I don't know. So then you have to keep up the appearance of religion, but maybe on the inside you haven't actually accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the absolute truth. But once you have, once you see Krishna in everything, and once you're drawn to him, once you're attracted to him from the heart, then there won't really be any obstacles that hinder you. It may appear like that. There are some difficult times. There are some things that are a little tough to go through. But it doesn't really shake us in our dedication and conviction, because Krishna is actually there. For them, the fruit of devotional service, going back to Godhead, will never be tasted. Similarly, those who are engaged in fruity pious activities and who are ultimately hoping to be liberated from this material entanglement will never be successful either, because they deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, persons who mock Krishna are to be understood to be demonic or atheistic. So that's the choices we have in the material world. It's actually the choices we have. Do we want to lean into our spiritual identity, or do we at least want to be serious about researching it to the best of our ability, who we really are and where we really come from? Or do we want to avoid that topic? That is always our choice in this world. That's how this world is built up. It gives us the opportunity to forget the spiritual nature altogether, and it gives us the opportunity to take it up. And here, as described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, such demonic miscreants never surrender to Krishna. Therefore, their mental speculation to arrive at the absolute truth bring them to the false conclusion that the ordinary living entity and Krishna are one and the same. With such a false conviction, they think that the body of any human being is now simply covered by material nature, and that as soon as one is liberated from this material body, there is no difference between God and himself. This attempt to become one with Krishna will be baffled because of delusion. So that's actually what we're all about. We want to distinguish reality from illusion, because this world is covered in illusion. We are covered in illusion. And we can go on like that. But the actual active part of everything is Krishna. These material elements is Krishna's energies. The fact that we are alive and real and persons because we're part of Krishna. The whole basis for everything, what holds everything up, it is Krishna. This is like, I understand that fish, they're always in the water, and therefore they don't really notice water, because water is everything that is there. But if you take them out of the water, they have a very hard time. They cannot live outside of the water. So we are in this world, everything is connected to Krishna. But if we reject that principle, that idea, then we're allowed to have this illusion. But we must understand that all the processes, especially the Vedic processes, the different yoga processes, they are aiming at moving us closer to reality. And if we take up those processes with a different aim, then we're not going to get there. It's actually as simple as that. Such atheistic and demoniac cultivation of spiritual knowledge is always futile. That is the indication of this verse. For such persons, cultivation of the knowledge in the Vedic literature, like the Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads, is always baffled. It is a great offense, therefore, to consider Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to be an ordinary man. Those who do so are certainly deluded because they cannot understand the eternal form of Krishna. The Brihad Vishnu Smriti clearly states, Yo veti bhautikang dehang krishnasya paramatmanaha sasarvasmad bahiskarya shrota smarta vidhanataha mukham tasyavalokyapi sachilang snanam acharet. Those who consider the body of Krishna to be material should be driven out from all rituals and activities of the Shruti and the Smriti. And if one by chance sees his face, one should at once take bath in the Ganges to rid himself of infection. People jeer at Krishna because they are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their destiny is certainly to take birth after birth in the species of the atheistic and demoniac life. Perpetually their real knowledge will remain under delusion, and gradually they will regress to the darkest regions of creation. It's like in mathematics, if you take an equation but you change one thing, then the whole result will change. So Krishna is the essence of everything. Krishna is the goal of all the knowledge. Krishna is our origin. Krishna is the cause of all causes. And we are welcome to forget that. We have been given this whole material world in order to forget it. But when we take up to developing spiritual life, whether it's through the process of karma jnana, jhana, activities, sacrifices, pious activities, knowledge, studies, austerities, meditation, trance and mystic powers, they look very different. But the essence is to get closer to Krishna. The active principles in all of this is the fact that we are eternal spirit souls connected to God. And if we reject that, which is the basis of the whole thing, then we won't be successful. And of course, we're welcome to be in this world lifetime after lifetime. Also, Krishna is not just sitting there waiting for us to make mistakes so that he can reject us, but he wants to point out how serious this is. Because Krishna consciousness, it's not a question of building something up or paying for something or being very intelligent. It's just it's a question of changing our consciousness. Very little. Very little. Just changing the focus, the center, the goal. And everything will stay. We will be persons. This world will exist. We will have relationships. But it will be the reality. So that's the difference. Yes, I'm actually very grateful to Bhagavad-gita, because sometimes you want to present Krishna consciousness and you want to make it easy and accessible and attractive. But it's a very serious thing, and we shouldn't be afraid of going deeply into all the aspects of this philosophy, because when we do, we find Krishna there. Thank you. Questions and comments as usual? very welcome to leave them for me. I have left some links and information, and I hope you'll come back to so we can continue reading Bhagavad-gita together. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.